and admissions counselor at the University of Georgia. I recruited areas, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, New York, the entire South from Georgia all the way to Texas, including Oklahoma as well as Missouri, California. I presented at SACAC and the American Marketing Association Symposium for Higher Education Marketing on very similar topics that we're going to discuss today. And through my work with TWG Plus, I work primarily with historically black colleges and universities, but also with two-year colleges as well. I'd like to start off by saying that while this is, and I'm the director of HBCU marketing at TWG Plus, but this discussion is focused or titled for HBCU marketing. However, there are universal themes that will be discussed that anyone can take and use at their institution, regardless of classification. So please note throughout our discussion that the different methods that will be discussed today can be used at your institution, regardless of how it's classified. Also, there will be an opportunity to answer questions at the end. And I greatly appreciate you taking the time to join with us today in today's webinar. Let's dive right in. Today we're going to talk about challenges obviously facing historically black colleges and universities, trends in higher education marketing, and five marketing methods to improve enrollment, as well as TWG Plus's successes with historically black colleges and universities. We're going to touch on all these different subjects. Some will overlap, and later on, as I mentioned before, we will have time for question and answer. So let's start with challenges facing historically black colleges and universities. And another preface, I'd like to also state that many of these challenges facing HBCUs are also facing any other college or university that's looking to market to or recruit specific populations as well. So several of these very same challenges are universal and will be addressed throughout the discussion. A few years ago, the changes, now looking at challenges facing HBCUs, a few years ago, the changes from the Department of Education, Secretary of Education Arne Duncan, led the charge for changes in credit standards for the parent loans for undergraduate students, the Parent Plus loans. And in doing so, in tightening or being more stringent in those standards, that caused a direct drop in enrollment for many students at historically black colleges and universities, but more importantly for students of color, especially in first-year students. And these two things together are a major challenge that HBCUs are still facing today. Also, many colleges and universities face this, but HBCUs specifically face either a non-existent or very, very scant marketing to prospective students. More often than not, one piece, one search piece, one publication is used for an entire recruitment cycle. Also, another challenge that I've found in my research and in my work is that there's not necessarily a clear understanding of the students that comprise an individual institution. And in doing so, many institutions that I've come in contact with have been using outdated methods of recruiting and connecting with their students, and are not necessarily equipped or necessarily do they understand that the more modern methods are much more effective in trying to communicate one's message to prospective students. Also, there has to be a very clear value proposition for historically black colleges and universities. Many of these schools were founded in the 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, and prior to a certain time, they had a very clear value proposition. But today, since students can go to pretty much any other college or university of their choice, the value proposition needs to be redefined. And more often than not, that goes right into the need for brand development or brand refresh. So these are some of the challenges that are facing historically black colleges and universities, but there are also some of the challenges that are facing pretty much any and every college or university in the country. Let's look at some of the trends in higher education marketing. As stated here, social media is such a big and powerful and important thing. Before I was on this webinar, I was checking my Facebook page, I was checking my Twitter account, and my Instagram account as well. It's a part of our lives, and it's definitely a part of the lives of prospective students or anyone that you'd want to market your college or university to. So when colleges and universities like yourselves are using or trying to use social media plans and strategies, using those effectively and using those in ways that's going to get to the students and attract the students, those are the type of things that everyone's shooting for. Also, another serious trend is the move to less print and more electronic means of marketing. So we're going to get into that a little later when we talk about publications, but this is the wave of the future. Things being mobile ready and easily accessible are definitely where this is going in marketing. Also, using PPC and SEO to make sure that one's name or the name of their college or university or their programs are constantly seen in searches, whether it be Google or Yahoo. These types of things are being done by colleges and universities to make sure that they constantly stay on the minds of their prospective students. There's also another great trend in higher education is a focus on yield. Application count is great. Students wearing your T-shirt is wonderful. That's all great, well and good. But yield, of course, is the name of the game. You need to know who is actually coming to your school, who's deciding that they want to come to your college or university. So another great trend in higher education is a focus on yield, as well as the creation and development of specific publications that talk about outcomes, publications that are specifically written to parents, as well as publications or information that specifically details a college or university's philosophy on financial aid. These are also becoming very trendy. And then segmented and variable marketing as well. So remarketing and making sure that a student, not unlike with SEO or PPC, but making sure that a student with remarketing sees if they were just on your website and they were just on your website before, and then they go to Facebook, then in using remarketing, then you can insert information about your school through your website back onto Facebook. So the student will then see basically what they've just seen before or where they've recently been visiting. So this segmented and variable marketing or remarketing as well is extremely popular, and it's extremely effective. Also, we see that colleges and universities who do conduct their own internal research or do contract others to do so are having a better analysis of the data and using it more effectively for their own good. And another trend in higher education, so one we hear quite often, higher education marketing, is that's the way it's always been done. Well, that can be good, and that can be not so good. So we're going to discuss many of these things here today. Let's jump right in and talk about the first 5 proven methods to increase proven marketing methods to increase one's HBCU class. We're going to talk about a variety of things, but the first one we're going to discuss is research. And while there is research that's being done on your campus, research in the biology department or in the sciences or in psychology and a variety of different types of research on writers and things, research about your institution and the students that decide to come to your institution, the students that you deny from your institution, the students that you're attracting, the different things that happen on your campus, that information is extremely important as well, because it can give you an honest picture of the students that comprise your student body. It's one thing to say that, hey, we get this type of student, but if you do the research, you really do know that these are our averages for SAT and ACT. These are our GPA averages. These are the number of APs. These are the number of IB kids we have. These are our National Merit Scholars. So you look at all this information, and it gives you a better picture, a clearer picture of exactly the type of students that you have there. It also gives you a little more insight into your target audiences if you do some research. If you do some qualified research. So if you're looking for students from a specific area of the country, and in the previous years you got a certain number of students from there, you can look at what did we do there to get those students, or do we not do anything at all and still got those students. So research can really give you insight into target audiences, and it can help you create strategies that can be extremely effective to reach that audience with the data you've collected. I've helped different colleges and universities in my role as a consultant here at TWG Plus. I've helped many colleges and universities look at specific areas where they would like to increase their number of students that are applying. And we've looked at a variety of different variables and used that research, and it's been extremely effective in messaging and things of that nature. Research also uncovers important information and about how you do your own work. So through a communications audit, through predictive modeling, through focus groups that talk really about what it is you do at your school, and through online surveys, you can really, if you approach it with an open mind, you can really see how it is you're doing what it is you do and how effective those things are. And so through research, you can really see what tactics are being useful, what tactics really aren't being used well, and through research and consultancy and working collaboratively, you can work together to find something that will work for you and your institution. Here we look at a few, on the right-hand side, I've got some graphs to talk about different things that we've done here at TWG Plus when it comes to research on specific items. At the bottom, it's a brand promise and concept, looking at what the brand promise from an institution was and seeing how well it tested. And at the top, you can see how different concepts for graphic design have tested as well. So this type of information is extremely important because you want the most effective design, you want the most effective brand promise and concept. And you want all of your things to be effective. So if you have an open mind as it relates to research, then you can go extremely far, and the work that you're doing within the research can help to shape everything else. It's the foundation for your entire approach for marketing to the students that you seek. You can also confirm or deny misperceptions or misconceptions. And it can also be, it's a necessary step for effectively using all the different things that you're going to use to market to students. Now let's talk about student search. I've heard of some schools wherein faculty or a trustee will come in and say, my son or daughter has been receiving mail from every other college or university in the world except ours. Why is that happening? Well, that's because many other colleges and universities are using some form of student search. It is a highly effective, and it's a highly effective measure that colleges and universities are using to actively and consistently get their message to their key audience and get their message to exactly who they're trying to get it out to. So it has several benefits. If used properly, it will keep the name of your school on the minds of students. It can start sophomore year, it can start junior year, or senior year, but more importantly, you want to keep the names of your school in the forefront of students. And through effective messaging, through consistent messaging, one can do that. You can effectively use student search by using what's called a marketing calendar, by figuring out exactly the type of message that you'd like to convey to students, depending on the different time of year, depending on their classification, and in a variety of different methods. You can use it with print publications. You can use it online with digital publications as well. You can invite students to campus for visceral on-campus events as well. You can use student search in any number of ways. And by doing the list buys, by buying names from students from SAT or ACT, PSAT, and a variety of different places, you can start to get your message, the message that you want to convey to the prospective students, and do so in a way that will be beneficial for all involved parties. If you are doing something right now with your messaging, I've got some tips that will definitely help you alter. With a few alterations, you can be much more effective. Now, and one of them is when you answer the questions, how many touches are you planning each month with prospective students, and in how many different mediums? So, how many emails are you going to send a junior this year in September? How many emails are you going to send a senior in October? These are the type of things that you can do right now in the summer, in these months, in June, July, and you can look at, and August, and look at what are we going to be saying to this student. You can take student A, who's in 11th grade, and take student B, who's in 12th grade, and look at what is with a marketing calendar, you can look at what are we telling them this month, this month, this month, this month throughout their junior year, and then the exact same thing throughout their senior year. How many things are we sending them? How many things are we sending them in the mail? How many emails are we sending them? How many things are we inviting them to? How many things are we making them aware of here on our campus? So with Student Search, you can really get the message that you're trying to convey out to your prospective students very, very effectively. And depending on how many touches you plan for each month, it could be even, you will definitely see the benefits when it comes to applications and yield and things of that nature. And then you have to arrive at what is your most compelling and effective message. And in doing so, you have to have an open mind. And you got to figure out, if it was something we've been doing for 15, 20 years and it's not really working, maybe it's time to tell a new story about your school. Colleges and universities are constantly evolving. And so, and they're constantly, new things are happening in colleges and universities all the time. So stories are there to share with prospective students. So finding the most compelling one and figuring out what that is and sending that out to the students can definitely be helpful in Student Search. Now, I'm going to give a little example of some Student Search here with one of my clients, Morgan State University. Prior to 2014, Morgan State had never really had never had a robust Student Search campaign. So they employed us to do a Student Search campaign for seniors. Now, in many cases, when one starts a Student Search campaign, the first email is usually your best email because it's the first one out. And students they're getting a variety of them at the time, and it's early in the school year. It's before any kind of fatigue is set in. And so usually you go on a sliding scale from 25% down to 5% in click and open rate. And 5 to 8% is still extremely good for a click rate and open rate and click rate with your emails. Well, Morgan State started at 15%, which is off the charts very good. And the second email was at 25%. Now, you got to look at why did that happen? Well, the subject line was scholarships. So, but not only did we use Student Search effectively to, first of all, we had a great opening, we had great messaging throughout, but we used it effectively in the first message, which was more of an introduction to the student. And in the second message, we started talking scholarships because that's what students really are very concerned with. And so, how can I pay for this institution or for this experience? So that was number two. We saw that when we looked at careers and friends and alums, they weren't as popular in the emails, but athletics emails soared. So anytime we can mix scholarships, athletics, and things of that nature in future emails, that's definitely going to be in the forefront of our mind. And we changed our approach midstream so that we could be more aligned with that as well moving forward to make our email campaign as effective as possible. Now, let's talk a little bit about publications. Publications, you go to any college fair, you're going to see publications. In a room full of people, everybody's excited. There's going to be publications on the table. Some lay flat, some go up, some there's new designs every day, every year. There's always some new innovation in publication. And even though the move, and we're going to talk about print publications as well as digital publications, but as long as print publications will be here for some time, even though the move is more towards digital. But let's talk a little about print first. Your publications, regardless though, should develop a strong message and a consistent message and theme. In many cases, some schools, historically black colleges and universities in particular, only have the funds to maybe do 1 or 2 publications during a recruitment cycle. And maybe that 1 or 2 publications is going to last them for a year or two. The only changes might be that they change some numbers and change the years out and maybe the cost of the institution. But a strong and consistent message and theme goes a very long way for a compelling argument for your institution. New designs and layouts and current photography cannot be stressed enough. Current photography is extremely important. You want your stuff to pop. You want your stuff to be different than the person who are on either side of the table from you. And current photography is definitely a way to do that. And I can't stress enough how important specific language is in speaking directly to the students or parents of today. If you've got one piece, you're going to have to write it universally. The language will have to be universal. But when you have a variety of different pieces, let's say for varied populations or geographic areas, or when you're talking yield or outcomes or talking about specific departments, you've got to have specific language speaking directly to the students or to the parents, or to whomever that audience is. So be mindful in your publications that who you're writing for. Who is my target audience with this publication? And always keep that in mind, not only with the pictures, not only with the layout, but definitely with the specific language that's in the piece. And then there's always a great advantage in creating a suite of publications for single pieces, because a suite of publications really gives a level of consistency throughout. There's a harmony for the pieces. It raises your visual identity for your college or university, and it shows prospective students, parents, and counselors that you're here to play and that you're serious and that you've taken the time to think about all the different aspects of college life and university life, and you've got something that addresses it. And if it's in a suite, it shows that there's symmetry there. There's symmetry between a parent's piece, a financial aid piece, an admissions piece, an athletics piece, and an outcomes piece, because it's all one university. And while the messages may be different, it's still all one university, and there's symmetry there. Here's a few examples of some of our award-winning publications from Averett University, Morgan State. And I love that one from Morgan State with the guy in the band. It's just the vibrance of life. The tuba couldn't be more shiny. But then you go down to in the bottom left corner, UVA Wise. It's this beautiful campus of the University of Virginia in Wise, in Southern Virginia, and using the different cut there so that you can see part of the university, see part of the beautiful landscape of the university, while even on the front cover, you can still see it. So using that kind of innovation there has really worked well for Wise. And in the bottom right corner, an outcomes piece for Spelman College, an all-women's historically black college in Atlanta. They really wanted to highlight their strong alumni base, and in doing so, they wanted to put it in one piece that had compelling words and stories, but also beautiful pictures to illustrate, to further illustrate their message. There's several benefits, though, as we move from print publications to what we call digital viewbooks. And digital viewbooks are something that I'm a strong proponent of, and because they can leverage your content and extend your brand reach. Whereas in print, you might print something 40, 50,000, you might have boxes all in your warehouse or in your office hallways. With a digital viewbook, you simply email it out. There's no clutter with that. You simply email it out. You can measure and collect data as well, because unlike with a print piece, if you send the print piece out, you don't know what happened to that piece. You don't know, even with your staff, if they were supposed to, they left with 5 boxes, we hope that all 5 boxes got to the appropriate places and they were all on tables, they were all at colleges and universities, but we really don't know if they were left in a hotel room or in the back trunk of a car. But with a digital viewbook, we do know when we send that out, we have analytics that are connected to the digital viewbook. We know who opened it, what they clicked on, what they explored, and how far they went. And it's mobile ready. Students live on their phones. They live on their tablets. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. And the digital viewbook is mobile ready. It's right there, and it's in the place where they are, where they live. It's extremely easy to manage. If there's a change or anything that you need to change, a number, if the president didn't like that picture or certain pictures and things of that nature, we just take one out and put one back in. It's not like a printed piece where you have to do a whole new order for print. And you can test content better and personalize one's experience there as well with the digital viewbook. And it really can turn prospects on a click. It can convert them on a click, because you can take them through the full explanation of your college or university and take them from someone who is barely interested in your school and turn them into a prospect. Later, and from another click within the same digital viewbook, you can turn from a prospect to an applicant. And in doing so, while being able to keep them in the same space, that is extremely valuable, extremely valuable. Now, you reach the audience exactly where it lives. The first picture we showed you on the previous slide was on a tablet. These series of photos are on a phone. If you notice, they're all mobile ready. Mobile ready is the name of the game. You've got to have something that's mobile ready. Also, it's a website about your school, solely for the marketing perspective. It doesn't talk about all the other things that your .edu talks about, so it doesn't have the same traffic. You with the analytics that we have here, you can analyze the specific traffic that's more in line or germane to your admissions process, because you can share key and crucial information from your admissions process on your digital viewbook as well, and you have a better understanding of how your prospects are navigating your site and what content they find compelling. So by doing so, and even with if there's parts of your digital viewbook that aren't being used, we can change it out and add something else, or expand upon different parts that are being used more often. And here's some stats as well about being mobile enabled. 3 in 14 access the internet on cell phones, tablets, and other devices. 3 in 14. 74% of African American teens use mobile access to the internet. So that's a phone, tablet, etc. 33% of African American teens access the internet mostly on cell phones. 37% of all teens have smartphones. So what is this telling you? You got to be mobile ready. So even if you go to your specific .edu site right now and it's not mobile ready or not mobile accessible, that's fine. But if you do a digital viewbook, you will have your own version of one that is. So even if the .edu is taking their time getting there, you, in admissions, will already be well ahead of the curve and be mobile ready. That is another strong selling point for being mobile enabled. Look right now. Well, don't look right now because you're on my webinar, but after our discussion, on your phone, go to your website at your school and see if it's mobile enabled. If it is, great. If it's not, you can do something about that within your own admissions office by creating a digital viewbook so you can be mobile ready that can convert a prospect just simply by a click into an applicant. Now, we've won a variety of different awards here. It's time to toot the horn here at TWG Plus. For the Higher Education Marketing Report Award, that we won just this past year, a gold winner for Morgan State University, a gold winner for University of Idaho, as well as for Kalamazoo College, and for Bluefield College, we won a silver for our digital viewbooks. All different, all specific and germane to the institution, and all really, really creative. And yet they've all been highly effective with each college or university and the population that they serve. So we're going to send you some information about those specific sites as well, but please be sure to check those out. Now let's talk about brand. I live in Atlanta, okay? The other day I was at the World of Coca-Cola. I've never been before, and I can't believe I've never been, but I was. I was in a beautiful museum that, with art, with history, and all types of things, is basically dedicated to a soft drink. And the more I thought about it, I said, if this isn't brand, I don't know what is. And wherever you live right now, there's Coca-Cola somewhere. And it all started here in Atlanta. If there's a recognizable brand in the United States of America, Coca-Cola is definitely it. And your college or university, you should seek your college or university to be as universally known as a brand as big as Coca-Cola. So in brand we ask ourselves several questions. One, how is your institution perceived, and what is it known for? These are tough questions, but these are questions that have to be answered. When is it time for a brand refresh or overhaul? It could be time for a brand refresh if your school is combining with another school, consolidating, or if you have a name change at your college or university. It could be time for a refresh or a complete overhaul. What does our brand tell us about the type of institution that we are? In doing the research on brand, you get a much clearer understanding of exactly who you are. It's also, you get a much clearer understanding of that, and you're able then to promote it. And you could also look at where will the same brand take us in the future. So whatever the school is known for today might not be what it's known for in 10, 15 years. It all depends on that student body, and it all depends on, there's a lot of external and internal things that can affect brand. So understanding that and working with that and through that to promote yourself better is extremely important. Also, the relationship between your reputation and your brand is also important too, and trying to make sure that those two align can be extremely effective. And then you have to answer the question within brand of what distinguishes your institution and why are you the best choice for your prospective students? Because if you can't answer that question in an elevator speech of 60 seconds or 90 seconds or 5 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever it takes, then you really need to look at brand, and you really need to figure out what is it about us that makes us who we are. So here's a few examples of some things we've done with brand with Montclair State, but also with University of Missouri, Kansas City Business School, the Block School of Business, looking for the brand promise, driven to succeed, different things that came out of conversations, came out of surveys, came out of speaking to people from all over the campus to understand exactly what that school stands for and why it is what it is, what distinguishes it, and why it's the best choice for students. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about examples that, for some schools that we've worked with in a number of these different proven marketing methods. For Morgan State University, I mentioned them a little earlier. They're located in East Baltimore, Maryland. They're a historically black college. And when we first started working with them, they historically had an inconsistency and a lack of coordination between the marketing office and the Office of Admissions. That's not an anomaly. They were not alone in that. But many colleges and universities have that type of relationship with the marketing office. So we started there, and we worked with all campus areas to create a new visual identity. So we interviewed everybody. During discovery, we talked to recent alums, older alums, staff, police, people in the police department, people, faculty, administrators. We spoke to the president. We spoke to his cabinet, and we got a really strong understanding of who Morgan State is today and where they want to go. And so we used all that information with our great writers. We used all that information with our writers and with our outstanding designers at TWG Plus, and collaborated to produce search pieces, emails, postcards, view books in print and digital, and other collateral. And it was award-winning work that we did as well, as I just mentioned before in previous slides. So all this work, through the email campaign, through the student search of sending the great photography and the beautiful pieces that we created for them, as of April, late April, early May, their confirmations were up 65% over last year. 65% their confirmations went up because they'd never done anything like that before. They had a suite of publications, and they had a consistent message month after month after month that they pushed out to their prospective students, and their confirmations went up 65%. If you go to your president with 65% in confirmations, you will be the hero of the campus. They will carry you around, and we will be the standard flag bearer right there for you. We did it with Morgan State, and we're very, very proud and proud of the work that we did there with them. Now we're going to talk a little about Mississippi Valley State University. Mississippi Valley State is in the very culturally rich delta of Mississippi, in a beautiful town of Itabena, Mississippi. I went there on a sweltering hot day, and I spoke to their great director of admissions there, Jacqueline Williams, and I asked her, I said, Ms. Williams, what do you all need? And she said, well, you know what, we need a number of things, but we desperately need something to give to our admitted students to make them feel good about being here, but one piece that can speak to them about what they need for a checklist of what they need, to attend the school, information on residence life, financial aid, information about important dates, and something speaking specifically to parents. We worked together. We interviewed a variety of different people. We spoke to all types of people during our discovery process, and we created some really modern stuff. We did that with, and she also wanted to do some unique postcards for throughout the school year as well that highlight the advantages of the Mississippi Valley State experience and different programs and things of that nature. And they'd never done anything like this before. So we went in and we designed something that was extremely modern, very modern, and very cutting edge. And the feedback we got back from her, as well as her staff, is that, hey, you know what, this might be a little too modern for the populations we serve. So let's strip it down a little bit and let us see it again. So we did just that. And when we did just that, an example of that is right to the right here with the postcard. They liked it so much they ordered more of the mid-student package as well as more of the postcard. So we worked together. We listened. We tested. We got responses and feedback. We went back to the drawing board, and we made something that the client liked. So, and the admitted student package has been highly effective for Mississippi Valley State, as have the postcards. Now, let's move on to Talladega College. Talladega College is in Talladega, Alabama, a historically black college, and they needed a fresh and new piece because they really didn't have anything. They had some pieces of paper that had information on them, kind of a fast fact sheet, but they wanted a print piece and they wanted a digital piece. So we started with the print piece first. We used their really beautiful colors there, their crimson and their Columbia blue. We worked together in a gatefold piece. The director of admissions said he wanted a piece that opened up with a T on one side, a C on the other, and pictures in the middle, and he wanted it to open up and with pertinent information on the inside, and he wanted infographics on the back. So we worked hard, we spoke to everybody on campus, and we did just that, using new photography and infographics. And then we took that message that we had in the print piece, which was extremely well received, we took that information and we put it on, and we expanded it by putting it in their digital view book called digaproud.com. And it, like I said before, it expanded the message from the print piece, and we broke it down into the academics, campus life, athletics, legacy, outcomes, and affordability. And if you see down at the picture there, on the bottom, there's also a tab on the left, apply info visit, so that you can use it. And that's what I mentioned before about converting a prospect in a click. After reading those things, click right on apply, and you can go right there. This is totally independent from the .edu of the college. This is run by the Office of Admissions, and it's your own way, your own mobile-ready way to promote your institution. So this has worked extremely well for Talladega, for this past school year. And one that's personally close to me, the Atlanta University Center, Clark Atlanta University, Morehouse College, and Spelman College. With Clark Atlanta University, we created a new application, a new information card. We worked on a new tagline with them using their own motto, new view books, international students piece, and created a brand new visual identity for Clark Atlanta using their bold and striking colors of red and black. And we did so with new photography, looking at diversity, and strong diversity there with the school. And I want to say, looking at diversity and with new photography, we did that as well. Also, with Morehouse College, Morehouse was seeking a new search piece that could speak to, it was one piece, but it could speak to any number of different people who were interested, young men who were interested in applying to the school. So, in a sense, they were looking for one kind of universal piece. We employed TWG Plus to work on that, and trusted TWG Plus with new photography, with a new way to talk about campus today and what was going on campus today. And through those pieces, through that piece, they were able to meet their recruitment goals, as was Clark Atlanta. They were able to meet their recruitment goals in Spelman College, and we saw a picture of the outcomes guide a little earlier because the cover, Spelman College needed an outcomes piece that creatively conveyed the return on investment of the Spelman education and the transformational experience that happens for one at Spelman College. And we worked with them to create just that. And this was a very key piece in the capital campaign that Spelman just completed of well over $150 million. So all three of these pieces, we worked closely with the college or university, and this is where universality comes in. It doesn't have to be HBCU, but we worked closely with the college or university. We figured out exactly what it was they needed, and we created the type of piece that they needed that could be used effectively, and it helped them to reach their goals. So here's a few observations for what we've discussed thus far. Research, as stated, is the foundation for being serious about effectively marketing your institution to prospective students. And a student search has its greatest return on investment when you learn as much as you possibly can about your prospective students and where their interests lie. So when you do that research and you use it effectively with student search, you can figure out where your students are coming from, what they're about, what their numbers are, where they live, what they're into, and how and why they're applying to your school. And if you also do that with creativity and innovative publication, you can make something that really will stand out, and it will heighten your visual identity for your college or university, and make this entire effort worthwhile. And you can also do so with the digital viewbook, which will capitalize, like I said before, on the overwhelming number of teens who are on their mobile devices right now, 74%. And that's how they use the internet. So you got to meet them where they are. And brand drives this whole thing home because it allows you to define what makes your institution distinctive. So if you use brand effectively, if you use research effectively to figure out research and brand to figure out who your school is, what your school is, who the students are who are attending your school, and then figure out what makes your school, what distinguishes your school and makes it unique, then you can use those things through student search. You can use those things to drive the creativity of your publications, as well as whether they be print or digital, and it could all help your recruitment strategy. A couple other considerations. You got to ask yourself when you're marketing and looking at marketing for prospective students, what are your goals? What are you looking to do when you create a piece? When you're trying to market to students, are you trying to create additional applications? Do you want new inquiries? Do you want more confirmations? Yes. Do you want to increase brand awareness? These are the types of things. You got to figure out what is it that we're trying to do with each individual piece. Because if you don't do that, then you're just going to be making a piece that doesn't necessarily have a goal in mind, and that won't be as effective. And you've got to ask yourself, how do you define success? What distinguishes your institution? I can't stress that enough. Many colleges and universities maybe spend a little too much time trying to compare themselves to other colleges and universities. Well, whereas more often than not, if they just talk about the things that they have going on at their school, then that's going to be more than enough. And if they do so using research, and then using research on their school, and then and using and effectively using their brand, promoting their brand, they can promote it using student search through print as well as through digital medias. Also, you got to look at how effective your current marketing has been in attracting the type of students you want. You got to be honest with yourselves about it, because if it hasn't been as effective, it's time for a change. It's time for some type of alteration in that regard. And then all these different things, all these different methods can drive your recruitment strategy. Because if you're using student search and you bought names from a certain area, then you can figure out whether you need to visit that area. You can figure out, hey, we've got all these students who are interested in our school over here, but we haven't even been here yet. So these methods can help you work with yield. They can work with getting your apps up, your inquiries up, your brand awareness. All these different things work together. And they all come back to social media, because you can use social media in any number of ways. So the things that we've discussed today about proven marketing methods to increase your class, whether it be your HBCU class, whether it be your state school class, whether it be your small private liberal arts class, whether it be your regional university class, all these different things, research, student search, publications, whether it be print or digital, as well as brand, all these different things work together to positively promote your college or university and help you shape the conversation about them. So now we come to the point where we open it up for question and answer, and if anybody has any questions or questions that they'd like to answer, I'd feel free to do so. Well, while we wait for some of those questions to come in, and you can post questions actually on the little chat box on the right. And I forgot to say that earlier. I'm sorry. You can post questions there. I'd like to thank you again for taking the time. I know I worked in admissions 9 years. I know it very, very well. I know the life very, very well. I worked for University of Georgia, and I worked in the big office, and I worked for Morehouse College. Two very different schools, but I learned quite a bit about admissions and recruiting and all the different things that go into it while I was there. And I understand June and July, we got summer melt, and we're looking at calendars. It's really, June's basically over, can't believe it. But looking at calendars to look at fall recruitment travel, and I can't stress enough the need to really talk about or discuss all these different marketing methods and how they can hopefully help increase your class for the next school year. Well, haven't had any questions come to me, but if you have any other questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to email me at joe.carlos@twgplus.com. That's joe.carlos@twgplus.com. I welcome your questions. I greatly appreciate your time today, and I hope that you learned more about proven marketing methods that can increase your class, and I hope you look forward to future TWG Plus webinars that are part of our webinar series. Hope you have a great day and a great rest of your week, and all the best in the next school year. Thank you for joining us.